Start working on the Yadi Molina statue at this point? What do you think?
Well, listen, for me, that's always a post-career deal, but that's what makes him so special. Lead player, all phases, did it behind the plate today, helped navigate the relievers through it, did a nice job with Dak, who I thought did a nice job as well, but that's what makes you an elite special player, and that's what he is.
And
Mike, you have been the one who's believed in this team all season, no matter what. Can you describe the reaction right now and your feelings towards forcing this game?
Yeah, talked about this. Believing in individuals and teams only gets tested when things, are a little bit aren't going your way. And so the easiest thing in the world to do is punt on somebody, and go and sometimes that's necessary in competition if a guy just doesn't feel or look right. But not necessary when you have guys that you believe in, that their work is taking place in the right manner, their head's in the right spot, they've got a process for what they're doing and how they're doing it. And if that's going to happen, then the tide can turn. And we had two great examples of that today. We had multiple really, but the two that come to my mind are Colton, who didn't have his better at-bats early in the game, but stayed with the process of what he was trying to do, and it looked to get better as the game went, and rewarded himself and us to lead off the 10th. And Carlos.
on the back and on the riser.
Mike, Marcel seems to really like playing in the postseason. Just how happy are you for him that he's having the success? And did you always know he could be a player like this on the big stage?
Super happy for him, all the guys. I just appreciate, and no, I'm not the least bit surprised. From the first day he got here and the process has taken place leading up to now, he gets hungrier and hungrier and hungrier and hungrier the last couple of years to want to sincerely be in this position. And what I appreciate about him, and really a lot of our guys, pretty much all of them, is the fact that he's embracing it and enjoying it and letting the game come to him and playing. And I'm super happy for him. Obviously, big couple home runs and some really good at-bats, played well defensively as well.
Mark.
I think you mentioned earlier this morning that you wanted to kind of see where Carlos's head was at. Did you have a conversation with him pregame, and then did that influence using him in that?
I did, Mark. I caught up with him in the food room. I've known Carlos for a while now. I knew him a little before I got him in 2012 in an extended spring training, but I got to know him in 2012. So you're going on a 7-year relationship with Carlos, and the one thing that I sincerely appreciate about Carlos is his competitive spirit. And you just know he's got the verve to handle these type of situations. What I did want to make sure of is his head was in a good space, and he was going to properly focus on executing his pitches. So we spoke this morning, and it was a beautiful response. I won't get into great detail, but he's got that, cornerback mentality, and it was almost like, what do you mean? I'm good, I'm ready to go. And we just, like I said, we had a very brief conversation. I looked him in the eye. I've known him. And it really speaks to the fact that, Acuna, I loved the way the ball was coming out. I mean, candidly, to the point earlier about just not having blind faith in people. We had Miles, playing some catch when he went out because, the starter, he needs to take a little more time. So, there was a contingency plan if it didn't look right. But right in the first at bat, to Acuna, I was like, it's coming out nice. I like the way it was coming out. I liked the way his body was moving. I liked the action of the pitch. I liked the crispness, the lateness. And he kind of hooked the ball and, got down the line. At that point, you're like, oh, boy. Just because you're in a tough situation, runner second, nobody out. But then I just watched him, and, he just kind of went here. When Carlos is there, you go, okay, we can ride with that. But that's the trait that makes Carlos special. And if you're getting that trait, then you go and you let him compete. And, to his credit, he got it done.
And
I think it was back in the beginning of September when Dakota Hudson said that Yadi smells playoffs.
Yeah.
Could you see that from him from the beginning of spring training even to right now?
I've noticed that from afar. I noticed that when I first got in the organization, and not having the opportunity, rightfully so, to be at this level. But, I started in 04 in this organization, Yadi's first year, and clearly wasn't watching the playoffs. And, I just always appreciated how he competes and how he plays. And then you watch, and Tony told me this, I didn't necessarily need it, but the confirmation of just how special he is. And I won't share the specific quote or comments, but he's like, man, he only swells up when it matters the most. What a special trait. We did that with Carlos as well, but he does smell. It's what this guy lives for. This is exactly what Yadier Molina lives for. This is what he trains for. Clearly he's going to have a lot of personal accomplishments, rightfully so. I'm sure they mean something to him. Yadier Molina is about winning and winning championships, period. Special.
Mark.
Just a little more on Yadi. His style kind of stands out a little bit in the game now. You see a lot of all or nothing type guys. He's a contact hitter,
Yep.
and he's sort of built for those exact two situations that we saw, I would think.
Yeah, that's a great point. It really is. It is. And, that's why I love hitting him fifth. We hit him a little bit second last year, fifth or sixth. I think it's just a great spot for him because there's so many different situations that come into play in that spot in the order. And to your point, he needs to just put a ball in the right field. He can do it. He needs to work on, getting the ball in the air. He can do it. I mean, I literally saw him. We had a first and third to situation, and still, I'll tell, people when I'm 80 and drooling, but hopefully not. But the most impressive thing I've ever seen almost on a field, a couple of them are by Yadi, but this one in particular was amazing to me. We had first and third, and we went to hit and run, 1 out, similar to tonight, and we hit and run, big time ground ball guy, and the runner at first missed the sign, so he doesn't run. So Yadi, as the ball's coming, major league pitcher, recognizes that the guy, and he starts to kind of make sure, he's getting on top. Guy doesn't run. Mid-flight, changes his approach and hits a fly ball in the middle of a pitch. It takes, 400ths of a second to get home. And after the game, I was like, did you really change your swing? He goes, yeah, the guy wasn't running, so I need to get a ball in the air for a sac fly. That's what, he's a pretty amazing individual.